First off, thank you so much for joining us, Vash. I really appreciate you taking the time and being willing to do the interview and everything with us. It is greatly appreciated.
Thank you
Um,
for having me.
oh, of course. I did see that you have talked a little bit within the chat. How are you liking the Discord so far?
I think it's pretty cool. I'm very new to Discord. Kept meaning to set one up because I am planning on street live streaming video games and some other stuff I want to do.
Discord's really good for that. So if you have any questions, definitely feel free to let me know, and or even let Maisie know or anyone in this Discord know, and we'll be happy to help.
That's great. I'm definitely probably going to pick some of y'all's brains soon.
All right, awesome. So I'll go ahead and get started with the questions. So first off, why did you want to become a voice actor?
So I'm a big fan of cartoons. I've been watching cartoons since obviously since I was a kid, and I still watch cartoons. My kids watch Bluey, and I think I'll watch it just as much as they do. Um, I just love like making voices. It makes people laugh. It's just you get to well, you see that I have a mask on most of the time, so you get to put on another mask and just have fun with it. Like I work as a first responder,
Mm-hmm.
so even then I'm playing on the radio. Like I'll answer a call and I'll be like, "Truck 12 is going in service," and then I'll come back at, like after the call. I'm like, "Yeah, you can show it back in service." Like I just do random things. I just like playing with my voice.
That's amazing. And you don't get in trouble at all for doing weird voices over the radio at all.
So I'm working for a new department, and the first time I did it, like the guy, like my partner, grabbed my radio, and he was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, it's okay, it'll be all right. And I just kept playing around with it, and I got to another station, and they thought it was funny. Nobody really picks up on it that it's still me going back and forth when they hear it on the radio. So like my chiefs and everything is they don't know yet.
That's
Or at least they haven't
amazing.
said anything.
That's amazing. So when it came to voice acting, what was your first steps into the voice acting industry?
So I actually started off doing music. Um, I did this like mixtape way back when I graduated college for audio production. I did a mixtape with it's supposed to be like it was supposedly the new NWA. It was Eazy's kids and his his nephew. They reached out to me. I did something with that, and I just during college I fell in love with voice acting work and Foley work, just making sounds. I just like to make sounds, like everything audio, big audio file. So my first steps with voice acting, I was just making videos, just having fun with it and talking to people. Um, the first gig that I got was with George Soroy with his like amazing audio drama called Excelsior.
Mm-hmm.
It, and that's been like incredible.
That's amazing. That's awesome. So when it comes to the voice acting, I know some voice actors are also authors. Are you an author as well, or just doing the voice acting?
So I wrote short stories before just to be funny. You know, with music, you're writing your own little story through music and trying to convey it the best you can. Uh, Actually, with the help of Maggie Dunbrock, she's actually pushed me and was like, "You need to actually write your stories down." So I started writing a little bit. I got 3 books that I'm trying to work on, on
Three
top of trying to teach myself animation. So
three books? Holy cow! That's a lot.
yeah, my job fortunately allows me to have a lot of free time. I only work like 9 days a month, so
Wow. Okay. Well, when you do get the books published, you'll have to let us know, and we'll have to bring you back to interview you about your book.
oh, that would be fantastic.
Awesome. Okay. So the next question that we have is, how did you get your first job?
Through TikTok, playing around on TikTok, I just opened it up and I just made one video that it's just like it keeps getting likes, and I haven't been able to match it since then. But I'm glad everybody does like it. Um, George Soroy, he reached out to me and said, "Hey, you should audition for this thing I'm doing." I was like, "Cool!" Like I don't have any experience, but I would love to do it. And I just jumped in and did it. And I got a small part as Kelly the Kraken, and I'm forever grateful for that. Like that being my first start working with people like Audra, Angelique, Charles, Izzy G, Chris Woodworth, Dennis Dietrich, Molly Rock, and Laura McKee. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they've been super helpful throughout the whole project and welcomed me into this voice acting community.
That's amazing. It's also good to have that kind of support in this community. Otherwise, you kind of get lost and it just, everything falls through. So having that support is definitely important. Um,
Definitely.
have you ever been recognized before?
With the mask and everything, no, and that's what I love about it. That's what the key thing behind the mask was. It's just I want people. I just want people to enjoy what I do, like the stuff that I make, rather than associate me with it. If that makes sense. Like I'm a big fan of the Gorillas, and I love how like Damon Albarn made all the music and everything, and the artist I can't think remember his name, but he worked on the Tank Girl comic books, and I just love what they did with that, where they just disappeared from the public eye and just kind of all you recognize them for is the cartoons.
Mm-hmm. So no one's recognized your voice or anything that, or like, well, I guess it'd be kind of hard to recognize the voice behind the mask with just the voice.
Yeah, especially when you keep changing it, because I can sit here and keep changing all my voices to do something really nice. Just be creative and just I bounce around a lot, and I'm
That's
animated, and my when I'm doing voice acting work or when I'm doing videos or whatever, I'm more animated. I'm free. I'm able to do it myself. And when you see me out in public, a lot of times I like to dress up. You see me in like a suit and tie, and I'm walking around. Nobody would even guess it.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, definitely. The mask definitely does help protect everything. So, okay. So when it comes to voice exercises, how do you warm up your voice?
I haven't found a for sure thing. I go back to when I was doing music. When I do music, I try to emulate or imitate a bunch of different voices for artists that I like. And for me, I just kind of imagine the shape of their mouth, if that makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
and try to imitate that and give it that feel, uh, and just copy anything that I see other voice actors do.
Okay.
Like any tips and tricks that I get from people like that, I've just been getting a lot of tips from for animators and animation.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm drawing a blank here from people that have helped me. Um, and I've got books on top of books from when I was in choir for just practicing for my voice.
All right. Awesome. So what would you say the life experience that you've had that has been the most helpful in becoming a voice actor?
Um, I think it was just meeting a bunch of people and interacting with people, and just when I was in college, meeting the my teacher that showed the Foley work and finding out that Walt Disney created over like 100 instruments for his for Disney to use for to design sound, and just watching like Joe DiMaggio with Jake the dog on Adventure Time, I thought that was incredible how it goes from that to Bender for Futurama, and just every voice actor out there growing up watching Phil Lamar uh, be the same character over and over again, but you hear his voice and you're like, hey, that's Phil Lamar. Um, I just thought it was really cool watching people do cartoons. Like it's just something about cartoons that is so freeing to me, and being like the voice behind it. Like you don't know who it is, you don't see their face, but you know their voice. Like you know it's them, and
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of like a very uh, iconic thing to me, I guess.
Okay. All right. Great. Have you taken any classes, or are there any books or programs that you would recommend for any voice actors that are just starting out?
I was um, I was in choir at an amazing choir teacher that would just teach me different things. I went to the school I went to for audio production doesn't exist anymore, but I do have my degree, so I can't really be like, hey, go to this school and check them out. Um, Other than that, Chris Woodworth and the club. There's a club. There's an app called the Clubhouse app. The
Mm-hmm.
529 Club is they're full of voice actors on there, and those guys are just amazing. They will help out anybody. Chris Woodworth is on TikTok, and so is Dennis Dietrich and Molly Rock. Laura McKee, I think, is on there too, but she's also on Instagram. And if you reach out to any of those people, they will definitely like point you in the right direction. They'll take time to work with you. They put on workshops on the 529 Club in the Clubhouse app.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they're out on TikTok. And I see people send the messages all the time. I send them a message like, hey, what do you think about this? And then they'll actually give me some feedback. They're not like, you would think that these people that do voice acting work would be like shut off. Like, no, they're actually really nice.
Okay. Awesome.
So I
So
guess my answer to that question would just be don't be afraid to reach out to people that you watch or admire for their work.
that's a good answer, though. But depending on the person, though, I can see how it would be intimidating. How do you get past the intimidation? Like, if it's really someone that you really look up to, how do you get past the intimidation factor?
I think each person is different. So for me, I've always jumped into uncomfortable situations because I feel like in order to get what I need, it's always on the other side of fear. So I just kind of jump to it. I think you just have to get past your barrier of why am I scared to send a message to this person. I think when I was playing football, uh, one of the guys said like we were talking about how this team was way bigger, and one of the guys on the team looked at us and he was like, "We can't be scared of somebody that breathes the same air as us." And I was like, that made sense to me, and that kind of stuck in my head. I'm like, well, I'm not scared of anybody. Like they're human. They're just like me, and that's just a big thing for me is realizing that this other person is just like me. There's nothing to be scared of.
That's a good piece of advice. Um, so, what are three things that you would say voice actors need to consider when creating a voice?
I would definitely say um, the the setting of whatever the role is, and then also the background of the story. When I audition for different things, I really look towards that background of the character to figure out okay, what do I need to do with this voice? Uh, like, is there anguish in this person's voice? Is this person freaking out? Like, what's going on with this character?
Okay.
I'm sorry, I saw somebody say in the chat to take a shot at tequila. I was kind of like, oh, maybe grab some. Uh, and the third one would be just to make sure you have fun. Like, just don't make it to where you're too stressed out about it to actually enjoy what you're doing.
Okay. Awesome. Let's see. What would you say some of your favorite voice acting roles that you've played have been so far?
It was, oh, so some of them are done like just musically, and with the whole me trying to do animation thing is those have been fun because I'm able to create my characters as in just like the gorillas, been able to create my characters and work with my team to come up with how the characters are because I myself I speak four languages on top of sign language and stuff, so like I'm able to jump around through different languages and just kind of get a feel for it and just give more life to these characters. So I guess my favorite thing right now, like beside the first one with George Soroy and the Excelsior project, like being a bully on there, that's from what I actually am. I've never been a bully, but being able to put myself in that creative space to become a bully It was great. And besides that, it's just been working on my personal projects, trying to find a good swing for that and break out and do different characters all at once.
So, how do you switch between those characters? Do you have like key phrases and stuff that you say to get into the different characters if you have to switch between them pretty quickly, or how do you switch between the characters?
It's there's a lot of my personality. So I put each different spots of my personality into each character, and it's easy for me. So the character, one character is just kind of like very blunt and in your face, and I just put everything that I've held back through my normal day to day life, and I'll use it for that. Or like with Vash itself, I just like to have fun and introduce people to things. So with this, I'm hoping to like introduce people to different cartoons, animations, and with my podcast, I'm hoping to talk about things like the original title for my podcast was just to get you through your day, and I wanted to do something that would make people like help people get through their day because I listen to podcasts when I'm at work, and I'm like, well, somebody else probably listen to this. I only like podcasts that give you like a conversation feel.
Mm-hmm.
So I was hoping to do that and have a conversation with people through my podcast, and that's why it became Vibe Talk. Because I just want you to feel the vibe and just kind of like whatever you're doing when you're listening to it, it's a good okay. I'm in this conversation and I actually feel like I'm a part of it rather than I'm just listening to it.
Nice.
So with Vash, I'm able to do that.
Yeah, I can see that. That's awesome though. So when it comes to your voice, how would you describe it? Would you describe it as like, I don't know, I guess being a voice actor you can change it, but how would you describe your voice just in general?
Um, I work really hard on hiding my accents, being that I am half German. And I grew up with my mother and my father. My father is from both of them are farming families, so southern either way you look at it. Uh, my voice is just I try to relax people with my voice as much as I can,
Okay.
except for when if I'm doing something spicy and I try to drop it down low and speak to you on a very good level, give you that bass.
Oh man, and you've got the graveliness of it too. This is awesome. Ugh.
But I listen to a lot of books and where the guys try too hard. And well, one of them I'm listening to right now is the Desperate Measures by Katie Roberts.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy on there, I'm sorry to say, like I'm pretty sure the gentleman is like very good at what he does. It's just his voice throws me out when he plays Jafar, and he likes to talk like this, and it gets so weird all the time. It's just I can't do that.
Oh man, have you worked with any authors for um, or reading some of their context and books and stuff that they've written?
I've done some auditions, but I would love to do like nothing's really stuck yet. But I would love to work on like audiobook, and I would even love to do sound design in the background for the audiobook. Like I just love sound. So if anybody is looking for that, like I'm all aboard for doing like a full scale your surround sound edit for any book.
That's awesome. We do have some authors that are actually in the Discord as well. One of them is Kiara. She's actually very active. We do have some other ones that you can actually reach out to. I'm sure they'd be willing to help you and set you
That'd be,
up.
I would definitely appreciate it. I'd love to have fun with that.
Of course. Um, so when it comes to having multiple roles, we did touch on this a little bit, but how do you switch between the roles in a single recording?
It's hard for me to explain because like I said, my personality. I put my personality into each role,
Mm-hmm.
so it's kind of easy for me to switch back and forth between uh, like the angry side or the shy side or the artful kind of not in your face, but like motivational side, or it's I'm so used to feeling like being in touch with my emotions that I'm able to kind of roll with the punches with it. Like I'm able to roll into each spot.
Okay. So earlier you mentioned a few things that you do to prepare for a voice acting role. Do you have like a set process other than going back to, you know, the choir and the singing parts? Or is there something else that you do?
I don't really do, I don't have a. I'm trying to set one. Um, Other than because I come into my office in my studio and I have to make sure it smells good before I do anything. But that's like been the only tradition is I come in, make sure it smells good, and then I'll listen to some music and try to imitate the voices that I hear on the music, or I'll turn on some kind of cartoon and try to play around, see where my voice can go. Um, I'll try my accents, which they vary. I'm not very great at them, but I try to do different ones.
So you mentioned you spoke four different languages. How many accents can you do in general? Is it just the four because of the languages that you speak, or
It's so with my growing up with my mother speaking German, the accent is hard for me. Like some of the accent speaking in accents is difficult for me, and I guess I'm kind of nervous about it. So I practice them a lot, but I'm still very like I don't want to offend anybody when I do it to make it sound over the top. Unless like a role calls for like an over the top villain, or because most people equate German to villains. So
not all Germans are villains, but I can understand where you're
no,
coming
no,
from.
mom is very sweet, but she has cussed me out in German quite a bit. I've heard that. Very frightening.
German just sounds like a very, very harsh voice. Like it sounds like they're angry sometimes, and there's nothing wrong with like my sister learned German, so I mean she speaks it to me every once in a while when she gets mad, but like it just sounds very very angry or can be angry at times.
And so I speak French, or I
Mm-hmm.
did when I was really practicing. I spoke French. I was getting to know Russian. That way, when I do go back to Germany, because we're so close to the border, we're Bavarian German. Um, and I thought about just taking a trip over there and going across. Um, and then with being a first responder, I tried to learn as many languages as I could because I had a bad experience with a partner that was just a mess. Ever since then, I just wanted to learn different languages so I can speak and help people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but so Italian, French, German, Russian. I was working on Japanese for a little bit, and it just the character difference was just blowing my mind, and it was hard to wrap around. But then I switched to sign language because I ran into a couple of people that were deaf on jobs, so I just was like, well, this is a really good thing for us to learn because nobody else really takes a moment to do it, and they're people too; they need help.
Of
So
course. And it's always good to have like I learned a little bit of sign language when I was in high school. I probably forgot most of it already, but um, there's not a lot of people who
languages are hard.
actually it is. But we digress. Which voice acting roles would you say have given you the most professional satisfaction?
So far has definitely been Excelsior. Like just being able to be a part of that great cast and people that have been doing this for years. It's just it they helped me get the confidence I needed to continue doing this. George Soroy, like the author of the whole thing, like he orchestrated this whole thing, and I was just like just freely talking to me through Instagram, just DMs back and forth, and giving me tips and saying that if I ever need anything to reach out to him, and he'll like with the whole podcast thing because his podcast he does so many different things. And it's great. Him being able to just take the time out of his day to message me that was a big thing for me. And then Chris Woodworth, working on so many different things, his projects, and him putting on these workshops to talk, like to teach other voice actors, is great. And just being involved with these people, that was just I love that role. And even though it was like, I think it was like 5 lines, but I still thought it's amazing just to be a part of it. I think I sat in on the entire recording each time, even when they did the second half. I had no part in it. I still just sat in there, just listening to them.
Awesome. So, what would you say, or what would you think would be the most essential skill for a voice actor to have?
Be flexible and persistent. That's a lot of auditions. I spoke to there's a at the local college here. I became friends with one of the guys that does voice acting for like Nickelodeon and stuff like that. And he was just I was talking with him. And it's like being very persistent with your auditions and not giving up. Sometimes it's gonna feel pretty lonely and pretty bad not getting a call back. I actually just had that experience. I got a second call back for an audition, and I was like, oh, maybe I'm actually gonna get it. It was for like two leading roles, and I was like, maybe I'll actually get another shot at this. And then I didn't get it, but I still don't feel like I'm not. It's not that I'm not good enough. It's just there's a lot of people trying out for this stuff.
So, when it comes to the tryouts that you've done, how many, you said that you had the callback, but how many callbacks do you normally have before the role is actually given to you? Do you know, or do you think?
With Excelsior, I got like right away. I came in at the end of it, and when they were I was procrastinating a little bit. Like I saw the advertisement go out where they were looking for voice actors, and I was kind of hesitant. And I was like, "Man, am I good enough to do this? Am I not?" And then, like, George reached out to me and was like, "Hey, are you gonna audition?" I was like, "All right, I'll go ahead and do it." So I got in my office, did it, and he was like, "You're good. You're good for Kelly the Kraken." And I was like, "Great, I'll take it. I'll take anything. I'll take any role." And that's why I just audition for anything. Typically I get a call back, and I'll have it or I won't. And it's just depending on what they're looking for.
Okay. All right, awesome. So if there's a scene where the character you're playing is angry or sad, how would you approach that scene?
It depends on the context. Like I can switch to get the wait. Can I curse on this one
Yes, you
before I do
can.
that? Like, is it okay? Is that okay?
Yes, you're fine.
All right, so I can switch to like, get the fuck over here, man, or just be chilling. Like, um, I have a lot of I had a lot of life experience that I can react to. That's kind of saved up in the back of my mind if I need to change it and bring it back up.
Okay. Let's see.
I see somebody asked if I ever turned down a role. No, not at all. Like I I want more experience and I want to be as versatile as I can. So I I want it. Just give me anything you got. Like I would love. I will even record. What's it called? I'll even record ringtones, like personalized ringtones, just because I just want to try to do it. I'll do it in any language, whatever you got.
There was another question in the chat. What was your favorite project so far?
My favorite project so far has been this animation thing that I'm trying to do. Like this whole podcast. When I finally sit down and record the first episode, I think everybody will understand why I'm so passionate about it. And I really just want to build a community for just. I'm a big nerd, and I want a community for other nerds like me that just kind of you don't really know exactly where you fit in. Like, yeah, you get along with a lot of people. You don't like people think you're cool, but it gets to that point where you kind of they don't relate too well because most people look at cartoons and they're just like, man, or they look at your taste in music and they're like, oh well, we don't want to talk to that guy because he doesn't listen to this kind of music. I listen to a lot of different music, and I just want people to come in and feel accepted. Like I want you to be you listen to the podcast, you feel like you're at home like you're actually sitting next to me and having a conversation with me, rather than me just spending time talking to you about something and you're not getting that feel like, yeah, I'm just listening to this in the background, you know.
Okay. So earlier you mentioned that you had the recording studio, and one of your things was trying to make it smell nice when before you start recording or whatnot. So what other types of things do you have in your recording studio? And like, for instance, like what type of mic do you use? Do you have anything else in your recording studio that has to be in your studio before you can start working?
So recently, I put these. I don't know if you've seen those cloud ceiling things, the cloud ceiling pictures
Yes.
or anything. But I put those up, and I thought it was really cool. Had the LED lights, and because I wasn't in here enough to catch it, they kind of fell. And I was like instantly like this is frustrating. So I hadn't stepped foot into it for a while, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna be in here this weekend or this week, and I had to put those up before I came in here and sat down. The microphones I use. So when I was in college, I fell in love with the AT 2020. It's a condenser mic,
Mm-hmm.
um, and it's just that was back in 2012 when I graduated, and I was like, all right, one day I'm gonna get one. And it's a really cheap mic, but it's a very professional microphone. Uh, so I finally was able to buy one about 2 years ago, and it just so happened they were having a sale for the limited edition one. I sprung and got that. So that little baby is sitting right next to me to my left. The one that you should be hearing from is an MXL mic, and I only got that limited edition one because when I first started when I was 13, I bought an $80 mic and it was MXL 990, and they made it a limited edition one, and I thought it was pretty cool because it's black and gold. So I was like, all right, well I'll put that as my mobile studio mic. So that's always with me if I'm doing anything like this with my iPad or my phone.
Okay.
And then I've got like a bunch of like I got a microphone that's called the King Bee. They shipped it to me with it looks like a beehive, the entire box it comes in. So I pull it out and it's yellow and black, looks like a huge bee. I love that microphone. And then watching there's a Rihanna video where she was singing into a baby blue bottle,
Mm-hmm.
and I got a Spark. It's the same kind of microphone from the same company, just a little smaller, and it's red because I love red. Uh, I got that in here. I've got speakers in here. Like my whole office, I got 5 screens in here, not including my phone and my iPad. But I've got 3 keyboards in here because I play piano, so
Mm-hmm.
I had to have different keyboards to switch through. I've got a stuffed animal in here. I've got Reptar from the '90s. I'm working on collecting I don't know, some '90s more '90s memorabilia. Uh, got my Funko Pops, my comic books, my books. Everything in here is just comforting to me. So I come in here, I can relax.
That's amazing. So you have so many microphones. Which one is your favorite?
That's a very hard choice because the King Bee was my favorite for a while, and then I got the AT 2020, and it's like it's very shiny, it's silver. One of these days, I plan on putting it in the video. Um, it's just it's hard to choose between those two because I really love those.
Okay.
And the King Bee also came with like a little action figure. It's a bee with a crown on it, and that kind of just sits by Reptar on my speaker.
Okay. Awesome. What would you say makes a good voice actor? What would you say makes a person a good voice actor?
I learned very early on in my life. I want to say back in like early I think freshman year of high school. It's always best to be versatile in anything you do, and I think that applies to a lot of different things. It even applies to me being a first responder, like being able to do medicine and run into fires and do uh, be athletic in my gear, like just and speaking different languages to help people. Like it's better to be versatile in everything that you do than just to be like I'm gonna do this one thing and do it. Like yeah, it's good to do one thing really well, but learn some other stuff. That way you're more useful. And I would say that for any voice actor, it's just be versatile. Other than practice, of course, practice is definitely like that's number one. But be versatile as far as you know how to do your own edits for your voice. You know how, because that way, if you're in there and you're like, okay, well, I kind of want to change my voice a little bit, and you can't do it physically, you can at least do it through your software. Um, know how to do different languages. Know how to uh, tap into your emotions. Know like just don't be stuck on one thing.
Okay. Awesome. So we did have a few questions in the chat. One of the questions is, what is the most fun role you've played?
Vash, definitely for sure, because I get to play this one and I get to be me to the fullest. The person I want to be on a day to day. I get to come in here and put on this mask and have fun. I get to make people laugh. I get to make people just feel better, and I like it because I'll even just I'll send random videos to people that because I've also got a Snapchat where I just post random things. I'll do memes. I just like making people laugh in this character because it makes people feel good.
Awesome.
So
And
I don't know if anybody's caught on to that yet, but like Bash is a whole different. It's just another character.
Vash is a good character to have. Another question is what programs do you use for audio work, for recording and or editing, or both?
So I've got FL Studios on my Mac, and I've got Logic Pro X. I like Logic Pro because I get to edit in surround sound, and that's just my personal preference. Because when I'm listening to something, I want to feel like I'm in the middle of it, and I want to put my listeners to whatever I create in the middle of it. Um, FL Studio has been pretty good. I started out with Audacity, and then when I went to school, I started using Pro Tools. I would like to do Pro Tools, but I I lean more towards Logic Pro. And also, Logic Pro has came out with the iPad version of it, and that has been amazing to be able to take to work or take out to the park with me and just set up and be able to do whatever I need to do.
Nice. Another question is where can we find your podcast and how often are you recording episodes?
So this podcast, I've been trying to. I'll record something and I don't like it. I'm very much a perfectionist with my work, and I want it to come out as pure as I intend it to come out. So I haven't released it yet. I do have a YouTube channel. I haven't put anything out yet, but I do plan on. I think I'm just gonna release it on YouTube. I do have the Anchor app, and I thought about using that. One of my friends has it, and he introduced me to it. But I haven't actually put out an episode yet. I'm trying to figure out how often I want to record. I listened to it's a podcast by Dan Cummins and his wife called "Scared to Death," and I love how they do theirs. They record theirs all in one day for 4 episodes of the month, and they release it every Wednesday. And I was like, that's a perfect method. I think that will work for me because I have so much free time that I can do it in one day and then start slowly releasing them. I tested it out with my TikTok actually. I recorded like 10 different videos and just slowly started releasing them throughout the week, and I was like, that works.
Okay. Awesome. Another
So
question
I
that
guess
No, you're fine. Go ahead. Sorry. I didn't
I
mean to interrupt.
would guess just keep on the lookout because I will definitely be doing that soon. I have the next couple of days off, and I plan on recording them. At least recording the first episode tonight, and I'll post it wherever I post it, and I'll make sure that all my social media links to it.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, so when you do start the podcast, let us know. We'll definitely listen to it.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Of course. Another question that we have is if you watch anime, what are some of the voice actors that you've listened to that found very interesting?
There, the guy that does All Might, I can't think of his name right now, but of course Goku, growing up with Dragon Ball Z, and then the lady that does Naruto. I always thought that she was interesting, and like looking at her off screen, like behind the scenes personality, she's just I just love how she is. She's funny. Yeah, All Might. I actually had that on my helmet for the fire department. All Might was on there for a while, and Deadpool. Um, But the guy that does All Might, I just love how deep his voice goes with that. And then just when he shrinks down to his original size, and he's just very calm, very like motivating, and like you hear all of his emotions in every section that he does, every part that he does, you hear his emotions.
Nice. Okay. So do you think voice acting is being a voice actor is easy?
No. And I say that because of the amount of auditions that you got to just get denied. You just kind of like, you just got to brace yourself to be like, okay, well, I might not get this one, but at least I tried. And like just the rejection. If you have a fear of rejection, then it's kind of like you got to get over that because it's definitely difficult. And the amount of people that are kind of just like disrespectful online is you have to get over that. You have to get over the fact that not everybody's going to like you, and you have to have that tough skin for when somebody comments something. Like for me, I just ignore it because I mean they're not really going to say anything. But I actually had yeah, haters. Uh, uh, Somebody said something negative on one of my videos, and I was doing a duet with Chris Woodworth, and he actually responded back to them. Like they said something about like that I suck or whatever. And he just responded right underneath it. He was like, "Well, I would love to see your try for that." And I was just like, "That's cool shit." Like having my back, and like at first I was like, "Damn, like do I really am I really that bad?" And I had to check myself and be like, "Well, what am I letting this dude on the internet that has a cartoon as his picture that he didn't even work on? Like, why am I letting him get to me?" And it's just having tough skin as a voice actor, just to roll with whatever anybody says online. And I think this just goes as far as acting in general or whatever you want to do, or your presence online. Just have thick skin. Don't let people bother you. Do what you like to do.
That's good advice. So what do you like the most about voice acting?
The fun I get to have. I get to sit in my studio and just be as animated as I want with no judgment. With my headphones, like even my characters, the characters I came up with, they happened because I had my headphones on and I would sit here and talk to myself. I know I sound crazy, but I can because I can hear myself. I will like if I did music, I would do my lines of music, and then I'll talk to myself as if somebody else listening to it. And I'm like, well, I don't think that's right. Well, no, I think you did pretty good. You just need to fix this part. Well, okay. What if I do this instead of this? And then, well, this is pretty good right here. And I'll just like pick it apart as if it's two to three different people in the room, but it's just me talking to myself. So if anybody actually heard what I do, they would think I'm absolutely nuts. But
I agree with Vixie. I don't think it's crazy. I think it's just part of your process.
I appreciate that. I actually let somebody listen to. There was a project I did before I actually came out with Vash. Um, it was uh, it's called Inside My Head,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually let somebody listen. Like I played it through surround sound and like in somebody in his car, and I let this group of people listen to it, and you could hear it because there's a section of my brain that is like speaking to me in different languages, in the languages that I know, primarily German, and it's like I understand it, and it's just speaking whatever it needs to say to me, and then it's a part of my brain. It's just there's all these different personalities just talking to me, and like that's why I said earlier I'm able to switch through characters and emotions and stuff. But then listening to what goes on inside of my head, at the end of it, they just turned and looked at me because I edited in surround sound, so it was like you were literally inside of my head, just sitting in the middle, listening to everything. Um, they just at the end of it, they just turned and looked at me. They were like, "Are you okay? I don't think you should let anybody hear that. They would think that you're crazy."
Well, that's mean. I talk to myself a lot. So I have no room to talk. So, not to mention, it's really the definition of insanity. Well, my definition is that as long as you don't answer yourself, I think you're okay.
Oh no, I answer myself all the time. That's the weird part. Is I can sit here and, with my headphones on and the microphone on. If I'm working on something, I can. It's a full conference in here.
See, and that still works though, because it's your process. It works. Okay. So do you think you work a lot, and if so, why?
Um, yeah, I do work a lot, and I've had to catch myself uh, just reeling it back a little bit and enjoying life because I realized I can't. There has to be a balance. If I work too many times, like if I work too much, like there was a time where I was just like working every single day. I had three jobs before at one point where I was working overnight as a security guard at a club um, on the weekend, or like whenever I just had off. I was working as a first responder, and I was working at Kroger. So it was just like trying to balance all of that and doing everything that I wanted to do. I was like, okay, what? This isn't happening. Like I'm not happy. And I think when you work too much, trying to chase a goal of being happy, it just doesn't happen. Um, so you're gonna want to work a lot when you're doing this, like especially voice acting. Because like I said, you got to put in so many auditions and do so much extra work creating content. You're gonna want to work it, and it's easy to get into the habit of working a lot. But when you actually slow it down and just do it for fun, you, at least for me, I've seen more progress out of just doing things for fun than I have steadily working at it.
Okay, awesome. So what do you feel that beyond talent, someone needs to book work and keep on working?
Persistency. Like you got to be committed to keep doing it. Keep going after what you want. Checking your websites, checking your media, or creating content, doing the auditions. You have to be consistent and persistent and keep driving towards it. Like don't let the no's stop you because eventually something's going to turn into a yes.
Okay, awesome. So some people work better during certain times of day. Is there a certain time of day that you work best? And if so, what time of day is it?
4:30 in the morning.
That's oddly
Like
specific.
I like I it's just I like waking up super early in the morning because it's just nobody else is there to bother you. There's no more distractions. You can do it. Like first thing I do, um, first 10 seconds I try to let my feet hit the ground, and then I go get dressed, go for a run, and try to think of everything I got to do that day, what I want to get accomplished. Just go through my checklist as I'm running. Then when I get back, I have that inspiration to actually keep flowing because nobody texts me at 4 o'clock in the morning. Most of my friends don't wake up until about 8, 9, 10 o'clock. Um, and that too. Like I'm not a. I used to not be a night owl. I used to try to be asleep by like 9, 8 or 9 o'clock. Um, but now I still I've always had this mindset of I hate sleep because I feel like I'm wasting time. So now I'm staying awake until about 12 o'clock, and then I'll wake up at 4 o'clock and just keep running and just keep going.
Oh
So those
man.
times where nobody is up is really good for me. And then the times where I'm really tired. If I'm really tired, I can create some funny stuff. Like I actually get into this almost kind of drunk state from being up too long.
Okay. The deliriousness.
Yeah, I actually get to have more fun with that. Less restraint on myself.
Awesome. So, what would you say your greatest weakness is?
Greatest weakness. Definitely cake. I love cake. um, procrastination. Procrastination has been always been a killer for me, and I'm still trying to fight that habit. Like I said with the podcast, I've done it with that and trying to perfect it. I've been doing it over and over again. I've wrote it several times. I've got a whole notebook filled with this should be the first episode. No, this is the first episode. This should be the first line. No, this is the first line. It's just going over and over again, trying to perfect things and just procrastinating because I want it perfect. When it was actually Maggie that 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 set me straight on just do it, just put it out, record what you got to record, and just do it. So that's how I started creating content and everything, just doing it.
Okay. Awesome. And what would you say your greatest strength is?
Not giving up. I don't like giving up for nothing. I know this may be a problem too sometimes, but if it's a no, I'm gonna keep on rolling and try again. Like the auditions, I have no problem with submitting many auditions. I have no problem with people saying no or that I'm not the right fit. That's cool. Eventually, I will be. But this is something I want to do, so I'm not going to give up. Even with the animation thing, if nobody else hires me for anything else voice acting related, and I only get to my animations or my podcast, and that's it, I'll be okay. Like it's not. Yeah, I would love to do cartoons and games and anime and stuff like that too. But if it's only on my projects that I get to do voice acting, I'm alright with that. Like at least I did it.
Awesome. What would you say makes you passionate about being a voice actor?
The smiles that everybody like getting to make people feel better for whatever reason. If it's a like something motivational that I say, or it's just simply some kind of corny joke that I get to make people laugh. Um, that's just been the biggest thing. It's just being able to make people feel better. I like doing that.
Awesome. What would you say your favorite type of voice acting is? Would you say that it's like reading, narrating, or reading off the narrations, the book audio, sexy themes, cartoons? What would you say your favorite one is?
Spicy things are definitely very fun to me because I just like the reaction of just dropping my voice and talking like I'm just gonna pin you against the wall, and have my way with you, and just going from that and doing just whatever I want to do. Like as long as I'm able to have fun with with what I'm doing, I love
Having fun is definitely essential. Yeah, definitely.
it.
So what would you say, or hold on. Do you edit your own audios or do you have someone else that edits them for you?
I edit them. If somebody else wants to, they can. Like if I go to an audition and they're like, well, this person's gonna edit it for you. With Excelsior, they it all got recorded through the Clubhouse app, and somebody else was in charge of doing that, and that's fine with me. Like I don't have a problem with it. But if I'm able to record it, it may take me a little bit because I want it to be perfect. And if I got an idea of how I want to sound, like if I want to sound like I'm booming, add an extra reverb or echo to it, it'd be great.
Okay, awesome. So, what would you say you do between roles? Some VAs that I've seen read excerpts from authors with their permission, obviously, and then post it to their Instagram or TikTok accounts. Is that something that you do, or do you do other things in between roles, other than your regular
Uh,
job, of course?
the like I enjoy TikTok right now because I do get to make people laugh, and I do like how they're doing the voice actor challenges, and I jump on those as much as I can. I actually got a couple of them saved to do next. Uh, but between roles, yeah, I'm just doing whatever I can to have fun. Like as long as I'm having fun with this, I'm good. Creating content in between, working on my own projects in between.
Okay. Have you monetized your social media presence in any way? Like opened up a Patreon account, an OnlyFans, anything like that?
Not yet. I have thought about it, but I'm having too much fun right now to actually do that. Uh, I don't know. Like I know eventually I should probably do that and get paid for it, but I'm having fun with what I'm doing right now. So I don't want to. It's that thing where if I make it a job officially, then I don't want to get tired of it because I've loved doing like voices for years since I was a kid. Uh, I don't want to. I don't want to suck. Yeah, I don't exactly. I don't want to drain the fun out of it.
Okay, completely understandable. Do you have any audiobook narrators or voice actors that you admire?
So I've got extensive, extensive audiobook library. Uh, my favorite one is the dramatized version of the Odyssey, and everyone that worked on that it was fantastic. I think Benedict Cumberbatch actually had a role on that as well.
Okay.
on the version that I have. And I think I've listened to that like probably over 100 times.
I'll have to listen to it. I haven't heard that one yet.
Other than that, I think listen to the Four Agreements a lot, and I think it was the actual writer that uh, recorded that, and his voice is very soothing, very like he doesn't speak in a annoying cadence, and it actually feels like he's talking to you, like you're sitting there and you're on a like a phone call with a guy, and it's just anything that makes me feel like I'm not being talked at, I'm being talked to.
Okay. And then do you have, let's see, how important do you think collaboration with other voice actors are?
It's very important because so going back to music, I learned collaborating with others will you're introducing your fans to them, and their fans are being introduced to you. So the more you interact with other people, the more people are actually getting to know you through them. So it becomes an extension, and then the more collaborations you do, the more fan base you start reaching. And yeah, some people aren't. It's not going. They're not going to be. You're not going to be their cup of tea. But still, that's another ear that you reached, and eventually you start progressing through to get your own fan base, and your fan base grows before you even know it because you collaborated overnight with somebody, and that video took off.
Okay. So that's all the questions that we had. Do you have anything that you are working on right now that you want to promote?
Uh, Not at the moment, other than my TikTok and Instagram, and just be on the lookout for those because I do have a lot of projects that I'm working on,
Mm-hmm.
and I plan on releasing soon. That way, I can get them out to people. Um, with the podcast, I do plan on doing interviews, so anybody's interested with that, and it's not gonna be like the original idea was random calls at like 3 a.m. to get an interview when somebody just woke up and spout nonsense at them, but I think I'm shying away from that idea because I realize how many times people are going to turn away from a 3 a.m. interview.
I think you'd be lucky enough to get people to even answer their phone at 3 o'clock in the morning. I know I wouldn't be able to answer my phone at 3 o'clock in the morning. So,
Yeah, I thought it was. I knew I was going to get a bunch of hangups if I did it. Actually, I ended up asking my brother. I was like, "Hey, man, I'm probably going to call you at like 3 o'clock in the morning one of these days." And I kind of got that. You better not.
you better not do that. Yeah, that's really early. Okay. Well,
Yeah, but you get some interesting answers at 3 o'clock, even if it's just a
true.
Like if I ask a question like, "What do you think about the weather?" and they're just like, "Yeah, yeah," and
Very true. Very true. Yes. Yes. I definitely interesting answers. I can see that. Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Vash, for taking the time and coming and speaking with us. We really do appreciate it. Any new works or anything that you do have coming out, please let us know, and then we'll also be more than happy to help you promote it.
I appreciate
So
it.
yeah, of course. But again, thank you so much for taking the time. We do appreciate it. We do have people here who are voice actors and are trying to become better, and or not saying that they're not good because they are already, but any little bit helps, right? But we also have people who are also just barely getting into voice acting, so these interviews really do help them as well. So thank you so much for coming and visiting and talking with us. We really do appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. I definitely appreciate it.
Oh, it's not a problem. But yeah, that's all we had. But thank you, everyone else, for joining as well. We do appreciate everyone who joins and comes and participates. And then we also do have another interview coming up next on the 12th. So, yeah, if you want to join on that next Saturday, you're more than welcome to join us as well.
All right.
All right, awesome. Thank you all for joining. Have a great rest of your night.